I didn't know my son was not actually mine until he was about 5 years old and had a medical issue. The results of the tests made me suspicious, so I had a DNA test done, which was when I found out he wasn't mine. I divorced my ex, but because we were married when he was born and the time I had to challenge the paternity had passed, I was on the hook for child support. I was a broken man afterward and withdrew from all my friends and family. After a couple of years, I started meeting people again. Eventually, I found out the ex was in a relationship with the affair partner and living with him. This broke me again, so I went back to my isolation. Another year passed and I slowly came back out. It took some time before I could talk about my past, but when I was able to, my brothers lit a fire under me. I found out through friends that the ex moved in with that boy's father almost immediately after our divorce was finalized, and they've been together ever since. My brothers pushed me to talk to their attorney friend, which I eventually did. He's a business attorney who listened to my history and gave me his opinion. He then recommended me to his friend in a family law firm. In short, I paid almost 4 years of child support. According to my attorney, I have a good chance of stopping the child support payments and recovering at least some or possibly almost all of it because there is social media evidence that the boy was living with his biological father during that time. The attorney said we can nail down the exact date they lived together during discovery, and then we'll better understand how much we can ask for. After talking with my family, I decided to file a lawsuit to stop and recover my child support payments. I got immediate flack from my friends, ex, and her family. I don't care what the ex and her family have to say, but my friends, who I've known since childhood, they know my ex through me, are saying that they support me in stopping the payments, but I'm going too far in trying to get almost $50,000 back. They said it was spent on the boy and I should view it as donating to a good cause. I know I'm angry and bitter, but am I wrong for stopping my child support and suing my ex to get it back? Not the idiot. No, you're not wrong. Donation to a good cause? LOL, no, she betrayed you, stabbed you in the back, and then got free money out of you while the kid didn't even need it since he was already living with 2 adults. Don't let the people who don't know what they're talking about get in the way. Exactly, he's not your bio kid and therefore not your responsibility. What your ex did to you was callous and indefensible. I'm shocked your friends can't see that you deserve to get your money back because you were taken advantage of. Moving forward, you need to block out what they're saying and surround yourself with a good support system as you get your money back. Your ex messed up and must live with the consequences of her actions. In this case, it means paying back money she has no right to. Yeah, maybe the friends should donate their own money if they think it's such a good cause. It's ridiculous to think it's okay that they were essentially scamming the OP for money that whole time. He is out $50,000 and he shouldn't be out. To recoup that money, he should start a GoFundMe for himself called the Not My Child Fund. He'd probably get reimbursed faster that way. OMG, brilliant. OP should do this for sure. She scammed you and was getting your money on top of the biological father being in the boy's life. Not only was he not your responsibility, but they both knew it wasn't your responsibility. They enjoyed your money to help fund their lives. They can now enjoy the consequences of their actions. Sue the heck out of her. Money back with interest. A donation, LOL. Ask friends to donate $10,000 each to your kid and see what they say. Absolute clowns. My daughter, middle child, just graduated college and has started working. She's the first in the family to do this, and I decided we needed to celebrate. She's always wanted to go on a cruise, so that's what we're doing this summer. My youngest also had a birthday around that time, and he asked to go for his birthday present. My daughter agreed, so we're all going on a trip. My husband hates the ocean, so he's staying home with the dogs. My eldest son, 26, is married to Bethany. I was speaking about the trip. This was when they both got upset they weren't invited. I pointed out this was a celebration trip for his sister and a birthday present for the youngest. They told me they should have been invited or at least run the plan by them since they're part of the family. I had enough and told them that they're entitled if they think I need to run plans by them to go on a celebration vacation that isn't about them. They're mad and I may be an idiot. We usually do a family trip once a year that everyone is invited to. That happened in October and is still happening. My son doesn't have a good relationship with his sister. I don't think he feels isolated. We see them both all the time and he's never mentioned anything about being isolated. He got a trip when he graduated high school. He can't pay, they're having a tough time scraping by, and I knew the answer would be a no. Also, my daughter doesn't like him. When he went on a trip, his younger siblings didn't join. Celebration trips are not family trips. So, am I the idiot for telling my son and daughter-in-law that they're awfully entitled, thinking I have to run my plans by them? Not the idiot, they are entitled. You can invite them to things when you want to. They can do the same, but they can't crash a party. It's rude, and frankly, you said it exactly right. You don't need to run something by them that isn't about them. The tone was set when you said your middle daughter agreed to your youngest attending. That means the daughter was asked. If you want, tell the eldest that he'd have to ask his sister for permission, and then they're more than welcome to book tickets. I agree, except for asking the daughter about the brother going. This is not a family trip. It's a celebration trip for the daughter, and the youngest was allowed to go for their birthday. It's apparent that the daughter doesn't want the older brother to go since they don't like each other. They were not asked when the son had his celebration trip. Asking puts the daughter in an uncomfortable position, especially since it's an obvious no. I agree, but OP shouldn't put the daughter in the middle. Making her oldest ask the daughter puts her in an uncomfortable position. Your son is a married adult and, I'm sure, does things that don't include his mommy, daddy and siblings. You are celebrating a huge milestone, not about him, and a birthday, again not his. Sounds like they're just looking for a free vacation on mom's dime. They sound especially entitled by asking to join a trip with someone they don't get along with. Again, looking for a free vacation? Time for him to grow up. He can wait till October for the family vacation. My sister and I are both pregnant currently. My son is due in 2 months and her daughter is due in 3 months. She was so excited that we were having our first kids around the same time and we could share our pregnancy journeys with each other. It wasn't as big of a deal for me, but I did like having someone who understood what I was going through with some of the struggles. Early on, she wanted us to talk about names, and I shut her down and told her I was only interested in discussing names with my husband. I told her it was something the parents shared. She whined a little, but I told her that was a firm boundary for me. She listened for several months and then started sending me name suggestions. She wanted our kids to have similar names. I reminded her that we were not discussing baby names. She found out she was having a girl and chose the name Edith for her. After a while, she told me we needed an old-timey name just like Edith. A little while after she decided on the name, she sent me a list of vintage and old-school baby names. I sent her yet another reminder that we're not talking names. A couple of weeks ago, she asked if we'd chosen a name and I told her we had, but we were not sharing it. She asked me to tell her since we're sisters and are pregnant together. I told her nobody would find out until my son was born. In response, she sent me a list of popular classic boys' names. In her comment about the list, she listed her favourites. I ignored her sending me that and her comment completely. Over the weekend, we saw each other for the first time since the last list of names, and she asked me why I wasn't talking about the names with her and why she got the feeling I wasn't hearing any of her suggestions. I told her because I told her many times it was a discussion for me and my husband alone. She then said I never even suggested the names she sent were names I liked. I told her that was because I never asked her to send them. She pestered me for 2 hours to say what I thought of the names. I told her I didn't like any of the names, that we went with a different style of name, and that we didn't want any more suggestions. I told her I never wanted or asked for them, and she ignored my boundaries repeatedly. She left crying and claiming I insulted her taste in names and her daughter's name since the first big list she sent names similar in style to Edith's, just for boys. She told me I shouldn't insult her choices like that. Am I the idiot? Jesus, she can't understand the word no, it seems. Not the idiot. But a break from her is needed. Stop discussing it with her. You've said no. No is a complete sentence. No further words on the subject need to be said on your part. You can't control where she sits. Just keep saying no. Thank you for your unsolicited opinion, but no. I would also try to prevent her from finding out your son's name until her child is born. Otherwise, she may just pick the female version of his name. Holy cow, pushy much? I don't understand why this is such a big deal to her. Put the onus on her to explain herself. Why is this so important? Why won't you respect my boundary? What are we going to do to resolve this, as I'm sure you don't want this ruining every other aspect of our pregnancy and having cousins together? I know, right? OP's sister seems like the type to shove that they're practically twins, they're going to be best friends and do everything together at OP's house. And I know better than OP, so I can discipline and parent her son too type. She is demanding matching names and naming someone else's child. I already feel sorry for little Edith. For some context, while also keeping this brief, my 36 male first wife passed away around 7 years ago. It was extremely sudden and traumatic for all of us, but I think it affected my daughter Emma, teen, the most. She went through a period where she became angry at everything and everyone. Still, she's become quieter nowadays, while my son Jacob, mid-teen, has become very dedicated to schoolwork and his future. I got remarried 2 years ago to Kate, a 34-year-old female, and while it took a while, she gets along with the kids well enough. Emma especially seems to have really warmed up to her and they spend a lot of time together. I work most of the week and lately it's been from home, so I can't spend as much time with the kids as I would like, but I always talk to them while we're having dinner. Almost every night, Jacob will tell me about something impressive he did at school, and I'll congratulate him and tell him I'm proud of him and sometimes give him extra in his allowance. As I said, Emma is quiet and doesn't talk much at dinner. On Saturday night, after a bit of coaxing from Kate, Emma told me she got a B in her science class, which is pretty rare for her, and I told her I was happy for her. Later that night, while I was working, she came into my office. She asked if I wanted to see her creative writing project for her English class, but I told her I was busy and she could show me tomorrow. I didn't get a look at her, but as she was walking out, she said, "If it was Jacob asking, you would drop everything you were doing." In the morning, Kate came to me after the kids went to school. She said I needed to stop being so dense and that she was tired of having Emma come to her crying because her own father would barely pay attention to her or give her a compliment. I didn't think I was doing anything particularly harmful or neglectful, but I've been second-guessing myself and figured I would lay it out here for others to judge. Let me get this straight. Your shy, quiet, troubled daughter who struggles with school worked up the courage to ask her distant father to look at a school assignment, which at 14 couldn't be more than a couple of pages, and you told her you were too busy. You couldn't take 30 seconds to admire her project, boost her confidence, and give her the attention from you that she obviously needs? Yes, of course you're the idiot. But you don't understand. It's hard for him to want to listen to Emma because she didn't take her mother's death in stride and calmly managed her grief in a way that didn't burden OP. I am getting sick of why OP thinks telling us his daughter struggled with her mother dying is somehow relevant or helpful in deciding if it's okay that he ignores her. It's also interesting that what she wanted to share was a creative piece. It makes me wonder if Emma isn't good at school or just not good with math and science. What I find interesting is how he tells his sons how proud he is of them, but when his daughter does something impressive, he just says, "I'm happy for you." To say that someone is happy about what I'm doing feels good, but is nothing compared to an "I'm proud of you." It's irritating to me that you can't recognize it while writing it down. You openly favor your son. Do better before you lose any relationship with your daughter. About 2.5 months ago, my older cousin, 27 female, and her boyfriend, 25, moved into my house because of certain circumstances. I happily accepted them into my home because she and I were always close growing up. I'm 26 years old, I work part-time while still making enough money to pay all my bills and still have more than enough to spend on myself. My cousin, on the other hand, lost her job and her boyfriend is still pulling the "I'm trying to work on my business" crap. For the first couple of weeks, everything was fine. Only when a full month had passed did I notice that they weren't exactly the tidiest types. I didn't have OCD or anything, so I just kindly told them to start picking up behind themselves and maybe do some chores around the house since they weren't paying rent. It was nice for the next few weeks and they did everything I asked of them. It was when the 2-month mark hit that I completely lost it. I'd gone out of town for just a week to meet up with some friends for a wedding and a little time to myself. During that time, they'd somehow listed my house on Airbnb, and I returned to it almost completely trashed. I, of course, yelled at everyone involved and said some not very nice things, but can you blame me? My house was beautiful and cost a pretty penny. The two were almost always respectful, so I'd never expected them to pull something like that. I called her mom and explained everything to her and tried my best not to just completely throw them out because I didn't want them to become homeless. During my phone call, she made a few of her own. I'd gotten some very nice and peaceful phone calls from multiple family members cussing me out and saying that my cousin had called them crying. They said I was trying to throw them out for trying to make some money. I said I told her, "You have overstayed your welcome and are trying to play the victim. I want you out by morning." Ever since then, I've been getting many phone calls and text messages blaming me for the whole fiasco. So, am I the idiot? Not the idiot. Did you take pictures of the damage? You really should have, both for your annoying family members and so that you can make it crystal clear to your cousin that you're already very generous by not suing. Contact Airbnb and report them, then file a police report. Also, change your locks and invest in cameras. You don't try to make money off someone else's home. Shaking my head. Also, they didn't ask first because they knew they were doing the wrong thing. Honestly, must suck to come from a family where you genuinely can't tell if you're justified in this scenario. Your entire family is nuts to enable them. Listing someone else's house on Airbnb when you're away, and they're pretending that makes you a bad person. These folks deserve to be thrown out ASAP. You are far too kind. LOL, classic entitled people. Bill them for the cleanup and repairs and send requests for the family to support them and contribute their money if they won't. Also, go no contact with this cousin and tell her if she's not leaving at this moment, you will call the cops and consider a lawsuit because she rented out your house and trashed it without your permission. Update. Thank you for your comments. I appreciate the feedback. I have threatened to sue, but they offered to just pay for everything, so I think a non-lawful agreement can be made.